You're listening to Veeam Partner Perspectives with Eric Doherty. Hey everyone, thanks for joining today. I'm here with Jess Fuquay, who is the National Technical Partner Manager for Presidio at Veeam. So he's got the responsibility for the whole country for one of our larger partners that we focus on here. Jess, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks. It's really great to be outside and visiting one another instead of being virtual.
Isn't it though?
Yeah, it is.
I neglected to mention, I probably should have mentioned to start off, that we are actually on location today at Stolen Sun Brewery in Exton, Pennsylvania, because both of us are tired of being in our houses and thought this would be a terrific alternative to sit here and have a nice cold drink while it's 90 degrees outside. But change of pace always helps. So
at least we're under some shade.
Exactly. I'll take it. It's a babbling brook in the background, so any background noise you hear is nature, so enjoy it. Call it a calming effect. So today we're going to talk about Veeam in the enterprise. And there's a lot of myths and a lot of facts, and we're going to try and help you to discern between those, because it seems like the more people we talk to, the more stories we hear. And Jess, I know that that's true for you, especially being a 10-year veteran of Veeam.
Yes, I'm in my 11th season.
It is 11th season, still playing for the team. But that gives him an interesting perspective that he has seen this product and this company grow up over that time, and can give you a perspective of why maybe people are thinking this way and where Veeam really is as a company and as a product offering. So let's start back. Why do people think Veeam is not ready for the enterprise?
Well, I believe it's a stereotype. When I first came on with this company, we were doing around $40 million in business, and the only thing we covered was VMware. Now, that blade was really sharp. We worked really well in that space. However, there was unstructured data, there were physical boxes, there were a lot of other avenues that data needed to be protected from, and we didn't have those pieces.
Yeah, people weren't 100% VMware. There were always other things.
Correct.
So there was always an avenue for another vendor to come in through the door.
So it was very easy to say, well, they're not enterprise. They don't cover everything that you need. And a lot of customers want to have one backup product, even though it usually shows that they end up having several.
Yeah, and I think 3 is the industry average, because there's always
Sure.
something special out there. There's always something unique.
But you're definitely not meeting the goal if you're trying to take a single point product and put it into an entire group. And that was back again when I came on in 2010, 2011.
Right.
Now, today,
Yeah, a little different.
yeah, realistically, with the way the product has expanded, we now cover everything that I know of in the x86 space. So anything that's Linux, anything that's Windows, we cover a whole array of different type of unstructured data that's out there on different devices. So what don't we cover? So
I think, and I agree, if you look nowadays at the head-to-head feature comparison, we check all the boxes that anything that people think is enterprise ready, we check all those boxes. I don't think that it's up for discussion anymore whether we can or can't. Maybe there's different degrees, and there are for every vendor, of different degrees of can or can't for each of those point solutions within the portfolio. And that's where, the education needs to come up, and that's where we need to get things going. So I understand where it came from, but the bigger thing is, how do we move it forward?
well, you have to understand what the stereotype is too. First of all, we were stereotyped back then, around 2011, and it's just like seeing somebody 10 or 15 years ago, and then you see them again today, and you haven't seen them in between. But you keep hearing about the person, and what you remember them where they were in 2010, well, they may have had no wrinkles, and now maybe they may have some. Or maybe they'd had one too many cookies back in 2011, and now today they're an active runner. So when you see them and they've changed the entire time during that time, you're like, well, they're still the same because that's the way I remember them.
It's like stereotyping in high school. I've heard you use that analogy before.
I have. Again, most people don't see their friends in high school. I only have about 7 or 8 people that I still relate with from high school.
Right.
Everyone else I remember exactly that way. Back in 1863. In any case, today, if I were to see one of them today, they may be totally different, but I still have what I believe is there.
Yeah.
In any case, within Veeam, people were told we weren't enterprise, we're not enterprise, then it stuck.
Yeah.
And now today, we aren't that way, and most people have to be re-educated or at least be told, hey, give us a shot, because we're a different product at this point.
Yeah.
And again, we're fully encompassed across the board as far as what we can handle.
It is interesting because I have partners that I've talked to where we're part of their solution portfolio, but they have some imaginary line that they've created somewhere in there. So it's like, yeah, Veeam is what we recommend for up to 50 terabytes or 50 VMs or some imaginary number that they put together, and then we go to product X above that. It's like, well, who decided that that's where the cutoff was, and how long ago did they decide it? And that's the education that I think that's what we struggle with every day in our position. And that's the reason we're talking today, is how can we help people to realize that we can do more than that. And being a software defined product, we have a better opportunity of pivoting on that, I think, as well.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we still hearing it? How is it still propagating?
Well, it's the best defense another company has against us. Other companies sell hardware or other softwares, and they know to be careful around in our domain of what we can do, because we do it very well, and we have a ton of clients that are actively using the products, upwards of 400,000. So it's one way they can go in and say, well, yeah, they don't cover the enterprise. And everyone thinks, yeah, that's true, because that's what everyone says.
Nobody knows where they heard that as a source. It's like that joke that it's like, who came up with that joke?
Correct.
But nobody ever knows, but everybody knows the joke.
Absolutely. Everyone knows, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone hears it, so it must be true.
Exactly. And that's a serious problem. So that's something that we as folks at Veeam are making sure that everyone understands is we're not just small business. We're not just yes, we still do a lot of business in small business and commercial. We have tons of enterprise wins. And the first thing that I'll say is check out the case studies on our website, because there are tons of enterprise win examples out there. Huge companies, global, international, tons of different things. And I think from what we just saw in a session we were in today, lots more case studies for those large companies were just published.
I believe a lot of partners out there also look at the deal size as whether or not you're really enterprise. So when you look at a software product such as ours, we have no hardware components, but you can put hardware with it to make the deal bigger.
Well, you have to at some point, because what are you going to back up to? What's the engine going to be that makes this run?
Correct. Partners have told me before an enterprise deal is at least $1 million. Well, within our product line, that's around 11,000 workloads. So the first thing I usually ask is, how many 11,000 workload customers do you have to start off with? Oh, you have 5,000 of them? Okay, well, let's go sell. I'm good. I'm good with that. But most of them are, no, we don't have that many within our portfolio of clients that we have. So the definition of enterprise, obviously bring that down by a factor of 10. 1,000 workloads is a $100,000 deal to a customer.
And that's just for our licensing. So now let's talk about one of the, it sounds like a negative word, but it's actually a real positive word, the drag. That's where the partners make the money. And I think that, we spend a lot of time expressing this, because partners aren't just partners with Veeam, they're partners with tons of hardware companies too, like Cisco and HPE, Pure Storage, NetApp, all kinds of different ones. That's where the money is going to be made. Nobody's buying just Veeam. There's always something else. Right.
That hardware goes through a certification process with us. We look over the different solutions. And again, we're hardware agnostic. Yeah. So we work with everything that's out there. And then you also have the services around installing it and getting it to work. The product by default, it just works. It was one of our catchphrases for a while.
That actually came from the customers.
It's true. However, just like anything, you put it into different environments, you're going to get different results. They may all work, but they may not work the most efficiently that they can.
Very true.
And having a professional that knows how to get things done with our product can fine-tune that product to make it really scream and really run the way the customer wants it to.
And that's absolutely the truth. And that has become more true, especially over the years. If you look back to when, let's go back to 10 years ago, when they were saying that it's just an SMB / low-end commercial point product. it was that easy to set up, really. Well, now it does so much more. There's so many more things that it needs to do that, yes, you could be up and running and doing backups within an hour with a demo copy, but it does take a deft touch to make it work the way that it should, and that's where the partners, again, make money. Services dollars are golden. We know that. And that's what we want to drive for partners. So it's not only it's assessments that are possibly revenue generating. I know in many cases they're not. They're a way to get in the door, but there's also the creation of the the project itself to put in Veeam. There's post-sale opportunity as well, because there's plenty of services, not running it. You could install it and still manage their backup solution or other solutions on-prem. If you have a managed services wing to your company, this is an opportunity as well.
The other benefit for partners, again, with us being hardware agnostic, no matter what in particular vendors you want to sell, 1 year you may get better discounts with vendor X than vendor Y. You can switch that over and become experts at that in particular product line of hardware to go along with Veeam.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I think that people lose sight of sometimes, is when they say like, oh, it's only $100,000 of Veeam. What else is on that bill of materials?
Correct.
And that's where the money's being made, because we know that an enterprise deal is not $100,000, and we're okay with that. But that's our sweet spot. If we could find six-figure deals every day, we're going to be happy.
We would.
So obviously we have a big thing that we need to come up with education on how to do this, and a big step to that is doing something like this. So how else can partners educate themselves?
Well, first of all, they should get together with their Veeam people. Realistically, it was mentioned I work with Presidio.
Yep.
Now, Presidio's engineers sell hundreds of products.
I don't know how they memorize their line card.
That's true. And for me to expect them to know our product inside and out would be almost impossible. You want to stop for a minute?
No, we're good. We're good. If you're hearing it, we have somebody decided now's the time to landscape a few properties
over.
Time
to cut some grass.
Whatever. We're outdoors, so I can't complain.
In any case, hundreds of products that they sell. The big thing they need to do is get the conduit back to the Veeam reps and the Veeam engineers that are helping out with it. Because any question that my engineers come to me with, I'm providing either information back to them, or I'm reintroducing them to another Veeam resource that's local to them, so they can continue down the path of education. And what I want to do is I want to enable you on exactly what you want to know. I had an engineer yesterday who asked me about S3 and how do we work with it within AWS. Well, I could talk about 1,000 other things, but now they've got a client that's clued in on a subject. So I'll enable them on that subject right then and there, and we may be having a frosty drink just like we are today.
Yep.
And you reinforce the relationship between the two, because you're providing them exactly what they need, because they've got a client that's meeting on Friday and they're trying to get some pieces together so they can actually have a conversation.
And they need to be able to speak intelligently and tell them that, yes, this can do it. And many times it's the customers as well that are like, wow, I haven't looked at Veeam in 3 years. And they're like, wow, so 3 years ago, I was just talking to somebody the other day where I said, last time we got together face to face, it's a conference that I speak at. Last time we got together face to face, we were on 9.5 update 4. Has anything changed in the last two versions? So even if I do the same topic from 2 years ago, do you think it's going to be the same conversation? There's always an opportunity. Even if you're having the same conversation, there's so much more to talk about.
So, Eric, another topic that I usually get questioned on as far as enterprise is, how do you size everything? Because if I sell something else that's hardware based, well, it already comes with a pre-size. So within Veeam, we have always had different calculators out there, and we're further developing them every single day to make them better based on prices up in AWS or prices in Azure, or amounts of deduplication, or the amount of compression that goes on within the product line. Within those vendors that we spoke about earlier in the hardware lines, we're now creating t-shirt sizes that essentially, again, this is about the enterprise, but we got the t-shirt sizes for a small, medium, large, and extra large. To be able to allow a partner to say, oh, I'd like to sell, let's say, Cisco. Okay, for the Cisco S3260, I've got these 4 sizes, and they're kind of a guess, but realistically, if you have this much data, this is the size that you would need in order to be able to take care of it. Now, once you get up to extra large, or extra large, I guess, now you're starting to get into, okay, how much is it really going to be? And we have a very nice calculator that there's a gentleman by the name of Ed Grummett. He lives over in the UK, and he built it. Essentially, he can take that information that you have, and you can do it with RV Tools even, and be able to plug that in and be able to compute out how much storage you'll need locally, how much storage you'll need in the cloud, based on the customer's demands for how much backup they need.
Which is funny because you're alluding to, which is brilliant, and I love these because first of all, I use them too. And these tools have gotten so, as the product has gotten sophisticated, those tools have gotten so much more sophisticated. Over the past 3 years, the ones I've used, it's amazing how accurate they are and how well maintained. But you can get to all those through, and the link is going to escape me. Is it veambp.com still, or is it bp.veeam.com? I cannot remember. But it's Veeam. If you Google Veeam best practices, you'll get there.
I think it's Veeam.
All of these are out there. And that, I think, is one of the best resources that majority of our partner SEs do not know about. But 90% of the questions that you will have are probably answered out there. Between there and the forums, probably everything you're looking to learn is there. But for the sizing, that Veeam best practices is the place to go.
Something else that I chat with partners, because again, this is all about a partner being able to bring Veeam in and be able to show it off very quickly, is chatting with them about trying it out, because we offer so many different ways for them to do so. First of all, there's always the proof of concept and the demo. That's been around for a long time. We have highly educated engineers that can help out the partner anytime they want with something like that. But now we have something called the hands-on labs within the product line that says, I'd like to see Veeam backup and replication, or Veeam backup for Office 365. I'd like to play with it real quick and just see how easy it is to install, and the methodology of putting in the backup routine that I need, taking a backup, and then doing quick restores, just to see what it looks and feels like.
Instead of doing every aspect of the product, it's picking one specific feature and drills down. Those are great. They have a personal spot in my heart because I started them. But.
Well, I mean, three quarters of the time, though, getting a taste of what you're actually going to purchase is the most important part. It isn't. The POC is great. However, if you go in and you taste the blueberry pie and you have 2 bites and it's phenomenal. Okay, let me try the whole thing. And now, okay, I'd really like to know the recipe. Because
do people buy cars without a test drive? At least take it around the block once?
That's true. That's true.
Same concept.
But sometimes setting up that test drive is difficult.
Well, and that's why these are great. It's like, I might want to buy from one of these new places, the Carvanas and places that'll drop the car off at my door.
Yeah.
But what if I sit in that car and find out, oh my goodness, I hate the way I sit in this car. I sit too high, I sit too low. You can still go to the dealer and try the car out first. And that's essentially what we're saying. Try this out in a lifelike experience, and then come back and know that it's going to suit your needs with the features that it has.
You know, again, as the partner, you get a demo done by one of our engineers, the customer sees it and they say, well, that's great. They did a phenomenal job. I wonder how easy it's going to be for me to do it. So I don't know if I want to do a POC or not, because I don't have time. I don't have all the resources and all this other stuff. And enterprises, they have problems with having resources too.
Yeah. Sometimes they need to do something, but they don't have the timeline to do those steps.
Correct.
Yeah.
So going to a hands-on lab gives them the taste of, wow, I really like this, or, you know, on the off chance that they didn't like it, they wouldn't go down that path.
And you can see how it can scale. Yes, you know, hands-on lab is, we're not going to back up 1,000 VMs, but we could show you what it would look like if you were going to.
Right, and because a lot of the interfaces, though, are so easy to use, and our customers drive how we further develop the product. So the ease behind it is made by what our customers are doing actually with the product, instead of what we think they should do with it.
I agree, and I don't think people realize as much how the feedback on our forums is one of the first sources for what features need to be worked on next. in our products. If they constantly are seeing people asking for the same things at forums.veeam.com, those are the things they're going to get taken seriously for the next version more than any.
You know what? The thing with a forum is you never know who's moderating it and what kind of answers you're going to get. When the vice president of product management within our company, who's been here longer than I have, which is, again, pretty long, when that person's moderating it, you're always going to know you're going to get some good answers and good feedback.
And your information is going to be taken to heart.
Just so you know, if you're on the forums, if you see any reply that's actually in green, it's actually a Veeam employee.
Right.
So you can kind of decipher out what answers might be, well, I don't know, because it may not be a green name. Right. But if it's a green name, it came from one of our employees, and we've got probably a good 12 to 15 people across the company.
They live on it.
Yeah, they live
and
on
it's not
it, and
their
they actually
full-time job,
answer
and they
just
live
about
on
everything. They do all the organization of the different topics.
Yep.
So when you ask a question, oh, this has been answered 38 times. And they'll push you over into that in particular thread,
Yeah.
so you can further see it.
It's definitely a good resource, and again, something to help you, especially as you're making enterprise decisions. So I want to shift gears a little bit and take a good hard look at things here. So we're going to talk about some strengths and weaknesses. So what do you see as the strengths that we have in the enterprise?
The strength that I look at in the enterprise is all from the business side. Again, in 2011, when I came on, we were in the Gartner chart, but we were not in the Magic Quadrant. The last company that went into the Gartner Magic chart was in the 2000s. When we got there 4 years ago, we were the first company that got back in that box.
That's some old technology.
So if you can imagine, that's a lot of years. And I believe it's in the neighborhood of 16 years, but I'm not going to get quoted on that.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah, give or take.
Say give or take, and then you don't have to worry about being exact.
Right.
So we got onto the Magic Quadrant, and it's very interesting because, like you said, for a long time it was the old heads that were always on there, the ones you expect to see, the Veritas, the Commvault, Dell. Gosh, you go back even further. I can't even think.
Well, you've named almost all of them.
Yeah, I'm an old man, so I can name most of them that were there.
Did you name 4?
I think I named 3.
Commvault,
Dell. See, I can't even do it twice.
IBM.
Commvault, Dell, IBM. I didn't name IBM.
Commvault,
and Veritas.
There's only 5.
There's
only 5 companies that actually that were in there a few years ago, and those 5 companies also have over 10% of the market.
Yeah.
Meaning in global data protection.
Yeah. Well, and then here's the interesting thing too, is you look at that, and the Magic Quadrant is, so many people look at it and go, oh yeah, Magic Quadrant, and they immediately start saying things like pay to play and blah blah blah. That's not the case. And the other thing is, when you're talking enterprise, those things are enterprise IT Bibles. They really are. No decisions are made at that level without referring to some sort of research group. People aren't buying the newest, hottest thing that has yet to be proven. Nobody's staking their job on something that hasn't been proven by others at the enterprise level. The old joke was always, nobody gets fired for buying Cisco. You know what? No one gets fired for buying Veeam now. Right, and that's where we're at. And not only that, not only have we hit that quadrant, we're continuing to move, up and to the right, where some of those old stalwarts are not. Either they're stagnant or moving back. I'm saying some, I'm not saying all. And the new players are all starting to make grounds. But looking at that, you flash that up on a screen when you're in with a CIO of a major company, they're going to really take you seriously. And there are tons of other reports, IDC and other things, that are going to allow you to be taken seriously.
So there are 3 things that I really chat with customers about of why Veeam. And I'm not sure that's the exact question, but that's kind of where you were with this topic.
Yeah.
The first one is we innovate what our customers want, not necessarily what the industry demands. And the reason why that is because we have 3 founders that have owned the company forever, and we were acquired. Yeah. But those 3 founders are still with us. The CEO is still one of those founders. The other 2 are actually consultants with the company.
They're still on the board. I can't remember.
They're still all there.
There's influence there still. They just don't have a physical stake in the game at this point.
Right. And with that kind of luxury of having a CEO there, we can continue to innovate, and we're still driven to move forward. Mm-hmm. And we'll just continue to grow. Our growth charts on Gartner are still going up, and IDC. So
I expect to see the next round of those be positive as well, because we've done nothing but add more enterprise grade features. You know, we started touching cloud. Cloud's always the big one. If you're doing something in the cloud, you're immediately going to get marked up. We are adding more cloud capabilities and features every year.
the last thing is understand almost all backups are done through APIs.
Mm-hmm.
And back again in 2006, 2007, when all this got started with Veeam, it was not looked at as the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We were innovative. Our founders saw a new methodology of getting things done. And now today, the API-based backup is actually a table stake. So when somebody wants me to compare us against somebody else, like, well, the backups are pretty much the same because the API set is the same that you're programming off of.
Yep.
So I don't know there's much difference. It's how you store the data and what kind of recoverability do you have for your customers when disaster strikes.
That's really where it all matters, isn't it? It's
all
about the recovery.
It has to do with recovery.
We call it backup, but it's all about the recovery.
Now, I realize the customer may look at that because they have the backup every single day.
Right.
But the ultimate thing for the business is, okay, can I audit and make sure that I know the backups are being taken well?
Yep.
And that's been our Veeam 1 product that goes along with the suite of the backup product. But then, can I actually do the restore when it happens? Because that's when your letter grade comes. When Brian can't get his file, and it takes you 1 minute, 5 minutes, 3 hours, or 1 day, or it can't be done at all. That's your ABCDF.
Well, you hit on an interesting thing as well, because something that enterprises have much more so than when you're talking about smaller businesses is SLAs with their own community, with their own users, end users. So these IT departments have SLAs with those departments. How long can it contractually take me to restore those files? They need something they know is going to be able to restore it same time, every time, successfully. And that's really where the products start to differentiate themselves. Yeah.
So when you're scaling the product out for an enterprise, again with the calculators, we can make an environment as large or as small as is needed, and we have the ability to be able to back up both locally and up into the cloud, and we can also take tertiary spots to be able to move that data out there. So the scalability, as long as you do the calculations properly, again, you can provide the hardware that will take care of it for an enterprise customer.
It's all about options, and I feel that's what enterprise looks for the most, is options. Don't lock me into anything, which is kind of interesting because I see some competitors out there that are all about, they're trying to be about options now because they're trying to go more up market, but they really are hardware locked or solution centric to themselves or proprietary. So I'm seeing some of that as well, which, they could call a strength, they could call a weakness. It's all one system. I guess it depends on your perspective. I mean, I start to think, and my biggest weakness that I see for Veeam in the enterprise right now is that perpetuating myth that we are working so hard to end that fortunately is getting better every day.
That's true, and that is the entire stereotype that sits over the product.
Yep. So hopefully we spent some time here today and been able to dispel that myth for you, giving you some information that will help you to not be one of those folks carrying on that myth. But Jess, I really thank you for joining me today. Unfortunately, it looks like some clouds are rolling in. We may have to head indoors. I hope not, because it's really nice out here now.
I think the number one thing I want to let the audience know is, if for some reason you think we can't do it, call somebody at Veeam and give us one shot. You got this great big account, give us a shot, and if we fail, then fine. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Don't assume.
It's not going to happen today.
I wholeheartely agree, and I'm glad you said that. So partner community, talk to your partner teams at Veeam for any opportunity, big or small. We can cover it. Especially we want to talk to you about these enterprise opportunities because we want to help you succeed with Veeam out there.
Eric, thanks for the time today.
Oh, no, thank you. I'm so glad we could do this, and I appreciate it, and we will catch up again soon. This has been Veeam Partner Perspectives with Eric Doherty. Thank you for listening.